It's Mr. Gerald again. I'd like to start off by saying, may the 4th be with you. All right, for those of you that got it, great. Those of you who did not, no big deal. Okay, it's just a Star Wars nerdy thing, and that's okay. Okay, we're looking at week 8 now. This is week 8, and we're going to be talking about quite a few things. Okay, financial literacy is what we're looking at. I'm going to have 5 videos this week. 5 videos is what I'm going to have. And the first thing I'm going to start with percentages. Will be on video 1. And then the second video will be taxes. Okay, those taxes which will include rebates, coupons, those kind of things. All right, incentives. That's our second video. Our third video will be interest, simple and compound. And then fourth video will be net worth. And finally, our 5th video will be budgets. So those are the 5 videos we're looking at this week. All right, and so again, these are all reviews. There's no new material here, and so I will be going rather quickly. If you have any type of questions at all at any point, then please shoot me a text via Remind. That's the easiest and fastest way to get to me. If you have a question, take a picture of it on Remind, and then I will be able to see what you're talking about. Because the questions come in a different order sometimes. All right, we're going to do a quick review of percent. What is 25% of 40? Okay, there are 2 ways that I taught you how to do this. Okay, and there's 2 ways to do this. The first way, all right, is going back, and I should go back and look at our cheat sheet. Okay, looking at percentages. All right, so these are the 2 ways that they're talking about right here. Okay, so you've got percent over 100. Let's do a little bit bigger on the highlight. Percent over 100 equal part over whole. Percent over 100 is part over whole. Or you can do what the part is equal to the percent times the whole. But remember here, this is the percent as a decimal. Those are the 2 methods in order to do this, to find the value of a percent. Okay, so let's go do that with these 2 examples. So what is 25% of 40? All right, and so what we just saw a moment ago, excuse me, I'm going to zoom in here so we can get a better look. If you have a hard time zooming in or looking at your paper, just zoom in on your paper. You should be fine. Okay, so percent over 100 is equal to part over whole. Okay, I don't believe that any of you have a problem solving these problems, but what your struggle is setting up these problems. Okay, so I'll remind you that 100 always stays that value, always. All right, and then what you'll put up in the percent is going to be, well, what the percent is given to you. What is given to you. All right, and then you're going to take a look and say, well, then I've got this number 40 over here. Where does it go? Does it go to part or does it go to whole? Who can tell me? Part or whole? Anybody? Okay, come on. I know we're 8 weeks into it, but you got to wake up. Really? Okay. All right, good job. So yes, 40 is the whole value. In this question, it says 25% of 40. So if you have 40 somethings, like I have 40 students, and I'm asking for 25% of that 40 students, how many students would that be? Okay, and so then that means that what we don't know is the part of that whole. So we don't know that. If we don't know something in math, what do we do there? If we don't do something in math, if we don't know something, what do we put there? Okay, and I told you this earlier. Yes, you put the X in that spot. So let's fill in each of these values. So we're going to rewrite this proportion. Okay, we're going to rewrite it with these values. And so we have percent, which this will be 25 over 100. Remember, the 100 is always going to stay there. Part, we don't know what the part is. That's the unknown. So X is our unknown. And then the whole value will be 40. So we have X over 40. Now you have this set up as a proportion. And I know each and every one of you know how to solve this. There are 2 ways to solve this. Gosh, Mr. Gerald, it's Monday, and I don't want to do this anymore, and like you're making me like think and stuff, bro. Yes, I know, Home Skillet. I get it. I'm making you think, and that's terrible. Okay, 2 ways to solve it. It's really not terrible, but that's just the sarcasm coming out of me. All right, 2 ways to solve it. We cross multiply. Okay, we can cross multiply. Or, what's the other way? I know you remember that one. Number 5. No, you're not awake either. Okay, all right. See, that's good. Chuck got that one. Okay, very, very good. We would scale. Okay, and so you could say you could scale, but right now it's not as easy to scale because of these values. So we are going to cross multiply. All right, so what that means is we take 25, and I'm going to do this right over here on the, I'm going to move over to the right a little bit. So 25 times 40 is equal to 100 times x. Okay, 100 times x, like that. Okay, 25 times 40 would give me 1,000 is equal to 100 times x is 100x. So now you're going to simply solve this as we've solved previously when you're trying to solve for the unknown variable x. Okay, because 100 is multiplied by x, you will do the inverse operation or the opposite operation, dividing by 100. So 100 divided by 100 gives me a 1. 1,000 divided by 100 gives me 10 is equal to x. So the final answer is 10. 10 is our value. So 10 is 25% of 40. Okay, that's quite a bit of work, right? So, but that's how we are to work that problem. But if you look at your cheat sheet, there were 2 things that I highlighted. Okay, the first one in purple, the second one in pink. Okay, we just did the first method. Okay, now we're going to do the second method. Part is equal to percent as a decimal times the whole value. Okay, so let's come over here and we're going to say that the part, oh goodness, excuse me. Okay, so the part is equal to the percent, okay, times times the whole. So that would tell me that that's equal to percent, remember, as a decimal. Okay. All right, I heard Dilly Bars remind me of that. Good job, thanks. Okay, so that's percent, and that's supposed to say as a decimal, but that's not very clear, was it? As decimal. Okay, all right. So as a decimal, 25% would be 0.25. Well, Mr. Gerald, how did you get that? Well, remember, when you have 25%, 25%, you move the decimal. Move the decimal. Good. All right. Okay, good. You move this over 2 places, and that's where you get the 0.25. Okay, now you're going to multiply by the whole value, which is 40. All right, and so when you say the part is equal to 0.25 times 40, and so I'm not going to work out this 0.2, excuse me, that's supposed to be 25. 0.25 times 40, okay, I'm not going to work that out, but that actually comes out to 10. Okay, that comes out to 10. So that is the same value as we got on the left side. 2 different methods to solve that. I've shown you both of those. And so typically when you're trying to find a percent, I like to use the second method. All right, but you need to be able to solve this problem using the first method I showed you. Okay, then we're going to go to the second problem, okay, problem 2, and try to find, so a little bit different. So 40 is what percent of 100? Okay, 40 is what percent of 100? I'll tell you what, let me do something a little different. Let me change this value. Okay, so I'm going to make this value, let's make this an 80. Okay, so just for simplicity's sake today. 40 is what percent of 80? Okay, so you're going to go back and look at the same proportion setup. Percent over 100 is equal to part over whole. Sure is messy. I'm going to try that again. Okay, percent over 100 is equal to part over whole. That wasn't a whole lot better. All right, good. Glad you're with me. Okay, so now we're trying to find, because the question says what percent? Okay, so 40 is what percent? So that is our unknown value. Okay, so what that means is that's our unknown. And so we'll say x over 100, it's actually x percent over 100, is equal to part over whole. Which of these is the part and which of these is the whole? Okay, so the part is 40. Very good. All right, and then you have the whole would be 80. Excellent. Okay, because it's asking you 40 is what percent of 80. So that that larger value is going to be what we're looking at as the whole. So let's put 40 over 80. And now we have a proportion. So we've got to be able to solve for this proportion. Cross multiply. We can do, what's it called? Anybody? Scaling. Okay, good. All right. Some of you are awake, so that's good to know. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do some cross multiplication here, and so let's look at. But before we, let's go ahead and then before we do that. Actually, I like to simplify a little bit. Here, let's do that. Okay, let's simplify. Can we simplify this piece at all? Yes, you know that you can. Okay, so that is going to move us to x over 100 is equal to, x percent is equal to, so 40 and 100, that can be divided into, or reduced down to, because 40, you can divide both 40 by 40 and 80 by 40. That would give me 1/2. Right? That would give me 1/2. Okay? And so now we can scale. This is so much better because we can scale now. The other way was not very easy to scale. And so let me do a little bit different color. All right. And so what we're going to do to scale is you say that 2 multiplied by what gives me 100. Multiplied by 50. So that means you're going to multiply the top by 50. So 1 times 50 gives me, not 1, not 0, good, 50, good. So that means that our x would be equal to 50%, okay? And this should make sense to you. So the answer should always make sense. 50%, what is that as a fraction? Okay, anybody? Anybody know? Okay, 50% as a fraction is half. Then look at these two values up here, 40 and 80. Yes, 40 is half of 80. So therefore you can go back and that's a check on your work. All right, very good. Okay, so that's what we're looking at today so far. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're looking at our percentages. This is video 1. If you have questions, please give me a holler. All right, y'all take care. Thanks.